morning. I'm joined today by my guest, Charlie Saunders from Assist Inventories. Charlie, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Absolute pleasure. Yeah, I'm doing good. Charlie, there's lots and lots of competition, I suppose, in the world of inventories. There's lots of different providers out there. What made you start your company and sort of where is your niche within that market?
So yeah, I started 2014. I previously owned my own lettings agency in Clapham. Various different reasons and stuff. Ended up selling that. It was only a small agency, but yeah, kind of needed something to do. Obviously, wanted to keep working, and yeah, we've done a few inventories before, and it just seemed a good thing to do as a stopgap. Then obviously just started getting more business. That led on to more staff, which led on to more clients, awards, even more clients. So it's just kind of grown from there. Just kind of really.
I know all your clients will be very sort of varied and different, but if I were to ask you who your ideal client is, if you like, or your typical client, is this only a service that's suitable for a certain size of agency, or is it pretty much everybody that you work with?
Pretty much everybody. So, we've got clients from, the accidental landlord that's just got the one property that they've kept and rented out, up to, some of the corporates. But the core clients really that we work with have kind of one or two branch agencies, perhaps up to 4 or 5 branches, but the smaller kind of 1 or 2 branch agencies, these are the clients that we seem to attract the most inquiries from for new business. It's just, they really want to keep their systems tight, keep the costs down, and, admin absolute minimum so they can focus on generating new business. These agencies that are that sort of size, they want to grow. They don't want to be spending time on chasing inventories, dealing with tenant comments and things like that. They just want to send one email to us and everything is done. They don't have to do anything else at all. And that's really, I think, where they find the main value in it. And of course, the reports need to be good if they end up being scrutinized.
Sure, absolutely. And I suppose that those reports are getting seen by a number of parties. So clearly the tenants are going to have a look at it, but it's also your landlords that are your clients. You're going to want to impress them with the standard of report. And I suppose if anything ends up going to arbitration down the line, you'll need something that is robust in order to stand any sort of chance of claiming back deposits.
Yeah, they really do need to be robust, as a lot of people know. It's just getting more and more strict, but it's also, our agency clients are sending those reports to their landlords. So obviously they're, looking to grow their business, as most people are, but in the same breath, nobody wants to lose a landlord as a client at the same time as well.
Yeah.
So, if there is a dispute and the landlord ends up losing out just because something was missed off the inventory, it may end up in the agent losing the landlord as a client, which, they obviously don't want to take the risk for that.
And then do you find that your clients sort of use sort of a whole variety of different clients, or are they coming to you guys because they know that you've got the availability to service their requirements?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so just us in the vast majority of cases. The reason being, it used to be that when we first got a client on, they would use us and a couple of others, just because they didn't know that we could definitely kind of accommodate everything. But once we get to know them and they realize that we can accommodate all the bookings, even at last minute, once a booking's confirmed with us, it's never changed. So there's not really any need for them to use another company, which is, it's clearly good for us, but we have to work it. We have to make sure that we got the systems in place that kind of coincide well with their systems and get everything running perfectly. And then there's not really any need for them to use anybody else.
because it's that sort of key thing about availability of the clerks being there. But we always ask you to send in some stats before we do these things. And actually, one of the stats that you've given us is that you always have a minimum of 30 clerks, which, as far as you're aware, is more availability than anybody else. So, if you order an inventory today, you're going to have availability. You're going to have somebody that can jump on that.
Yeah, exactly. So having such a large panel, every now and again there might be something where a clerk tells us first thing in the morning they can't do a check-in today, but we've got another 29 clerks that we can call on. There's always somebody that can do it. So we're dealing with these problems, clients not even aware, but with the smaller inventory companies, probably good, but they just don't have that flexibility.
And this is truly tried and tested. A staggering 20,000 reports carried out today. I mean, that's a lot of properties, a lot of reports.
Yeah, it is a lot of reports, a lot of photos, hell of a lot of dictation, and a lot of typing for the typist. But yeah, we get them done.
So I've got to ask you this question because it's actually the title of our webinar. But are you London's most popular property inventory company for agents?
I'd like to think so. I mean, we've won awards. We've got more clerks than anybody else that I know about. We've got 3 staff in the office, which is, as far as I'm aware, more than other inventory companies. And yeah, we obviously do marketing. You can be the best at what you do, but if nobody knows about it, then it's impossible to get new clients. So we do marketing, not a great deal, but we get a lot of word of mouth as well. So yeah, I mean, we could well be the most popular one. Yeah, I'd like to think so.
And in terms of the flexibility in your sort of pricing plans and sort of building it, I think the word that you guys used was bespoke to the actual client, because I think every agent is going to use this in a slightly different way. Some people charge their landlords extra per report, whatever it may be. Some people have got it included in the service, but whichever way they want to play it, you can accommodate that, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, as you're saying, every client is different, and that includes the pricing as well. So some of them are gonna literally just take our invoice and forward it straight to the landlord, and then don't want to do anything else with it. Some agents have already got their own fee structure in place for inventories that they don't really want to change. So normally we'll be able to work with that. And then other agents, they want us to invoice them, but they want to get some sort of kickback commission from that as well, which is fine. So yeah, we've got some different price lists, and yeah, we just tend to discuss with the agent, see where we go from there.
So when it comes to sort of overall quality, I mean, some of us have already, as agents, decided that the more expensive agents, for instance, have a higher quality of customer service. That's what you're paying for, and that sometimes it's a false economy to go for sort of cheap online versions of the service, because you're not going to get the fullness of the service. So in your sector, when it comes to inventories, that's also the case, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, I'll never have and I never will knock other inventory companies, but I mean, I know what it costs to pay a clerk and to pay the typist and to get an inventory done. And I kind of know the minimum that you need to pay a clerk to do it. And then we obviously need some sort of markup on that as a company. So there's a minimum that we can go to, and that is high. Excuse me, that minimum is still higher than some of the other cheap inventory companies, but the difference really is reflected in the quality of the report. There's absolutely no point in saving 20 or 30 quid on an inventory if it's inaccurate or it's got bits missing, or even if it's not laid out well enough. If it was to be scrutinized in a deposit mediation,
because at the end of the day, that's going to disadvantage the landlords. They won't get their if the report's not good enough, they might not get what they're claiming for, and then that's going to reflect badly on you, I presume, as the
Yeah,
agent, because what you've done is you've provided them with a half service rather than a full service that can stand them a better chance. I was going to use the word guarantee, but these days there are no guarantees. But stand them the best possible chance to mediate that deposit dispute in a more robust manner.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're going to pay for an inventory, as we've discussed earlier, it's, you know, it can be very hard to get any claims back. Claims that the landlord is, you know, should really be awarded. Everything, the inventory really has to be meticulously detailed with the photo evidence. And yeah, as you're saying, if you want to save maybe 20 quid on it and it doesn't stand up, then it's just complete false economy.
It is. I mean, I've often said to landlords that they may as well not take a deposit at all sometimes if they don't have an inventory, because you don't have a leg to stand on for any claim, even if the damage is obvious.
Yeah.
But even more than that, don't use a halfway between an inventory and a full-blown good inventory. If you've got a scrap of paper that barely sort of documents, I mean, I've seen some shockers in my time in terms of the good, the bad, and the ugly of inventories, and I'm sure you have as well. So I think it's probably key that this report needs to be as detailed as possible. And on that, Charlie, if I can ask you, I'm presuming your reports are fully annotated and also have full photography. Is there anything else that stands out about those reports?
Just really having a good layout. So, you know, like many reports at the top, we've got a schedule of condition, but then we have a separate schedule of condition, which is only for cleaning. This really only came about from popular demand, agents asking us for that. Any agent will know that cleaning issues are just an absolute nightmare, because that has to be absolutely spot on. Otherwise, somebody ends up having to pay for the cleaning, and you need to work out who's liable to pay for it. And we always get asked about cleaning companies because a lot of them, you know, inevitably just miss one little bit, a couple of bits, and then that's it. You know, somebody end up having to sort that out. Otherwise, if you just keep doing that through each tenancy, it's just going to get worse and worse. And the landlords pay for the professional clean at the end, so they don't want to have to pay for it again.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, just having a separate one for the alarms and the keys and the meter readings, so that the main bits are there at the top of the report that the property manager or the landlord wants to see straight away. And then throughout the rest of it, really just itemizing every single item in the room, as well as, you know, door, floor, walls, skirting boards, and so on, and just having enough detail in there with the description and the condition and a supporting photographic evidence. Another thing that we do for checkouts as well is we can group together actions. So if it's, for example, a cleaning defect that we believe the tenant's liable for, they'll be grouped together at the bottom of the report. And then the same for if it's a maintenance issue the tenant's liable for, or if we think that something maintenance-wise the landlord's going to need to look into, perhaps it's structural, there was a leak that caused some damage or stuff like that, then that'll be grouped together as well. That just saves a lot of time when dealing with the deposit returns and the checkouts at the end.
Yeah, and I'm sure that makes it much easier. So in terms of people who are new to this, who are watching this and sort of maybe still doing their own inventory reports or subbing it out to somebody that's not as reliable and not as detailed, what's the best way they can get to know you guys and get working with you? I know all your details are on kerfuffle.com, but when they talk to you, what's typically the process you go through?
So once new client calls up and you know, interested, they'll speak to me or Zoe, but you know, quite often myself. Zoe, by the way, is the office manager. She is amazing. And we just want to kind of work out the system that they've already got and then try and improve on it.
Yeah.
So obviously what we want to try and do is make sure that the agent has the least admin possible. We can normally eliminate most of it or 90% of it just down to the fact of when you have a booking, fill out this form, send it to us and we'll do the rest. With inventory check-ins, there's really nothing else that the agent needs to do apart from that. And then on the checkouts, when they get the report, all they need to do is the deposit return. All the stuff, like we can send it straight to agents, landlords, tenants, whichever they want. Some agents get us to send the checkouts, just them and not the tenants, some of the other way around. It just, yeah, every agent just works completely differently. So it's just trying to find that system and that flow that we'll create and it will be bespoke to that agent.
Yeah, no, that is the best way. Thank you very, very much for taking the time to talk to us about your service, Charlie.
No problem at all.
Thank you.